Do. I love equations, yes I do. Okay, welcome back. Hello everybody. Welcome to solving multi-step equations. If you're familiar with the word multi, that means many, several, more than three. So that means we're going to have to do several steps to solve our equations. So here is the key idea. Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? Yep, good. Here we go. Before you start solving an equation, you must simplify it first. Everybody say it with me. And I mean it. I expect you to say it. Ready? Say it with me. Before you start solving an equation, you must simplify it first. Remember it. Love it. Embrace it. All right, so what does that mean? Dramatic music here. Dum, dum, dum. That means you use the distributive property and combine like terms, if necessary, first. Then you can start solving like a maniac of algebra. And you solve it like you've never solved before. Oh, yeah. I'm glad you enjoy the song stylings of Mrs. Wriggler. There are not many people who do. All right, so let's take an example, shall we? We shall. Let's look at -2, parentheses, 3 plus 7m is equal to 36. Well, this looks complicated. Well, let's break it down one time and make it a little more simple. So first, part A, we're going to simplify. What do I mean by simplify? I mean make it simpler. Oh, crazy. I want to get rid of anything extra that I don't really need here. But you can't just ignore it. You have to do something with it. So what I'm going to do is I don't want these parentheses. That makes it look more complicated than it needs to be. So I, of course, realize when I have parentheses and I have a little number sitting right outside of it, that means to distribute. That's right, distribute. So let's distribute, shall we? So if I take -2 times 3, that's going to give me what? What is it? It's -6. Good for you. A plus minus 0. I want to bring down my plus sign. And then I'm going to distribute that -2 to the 7m. -2 times 7m. -2 times 7 is, wait for it, and -14. And then you bring along the m. We have distributed everything, excuse me, and now we rewrite the rest of the problem, equals 36. Okay, now we've done part A, check. Now we're going to begin solving, so we have to think what operations are being done to the variable. Well, if I look, I see a plus sign, so I see addition, and then over here I have -14 times m, so I know there's multiplication. I've identified my operations. So now we have to say, hey teenagers, it's time to rebel. Yeah. What are the opposite operations that we should do to both sides? Well, the opposite of addition, my friends, is subtraction. Yum. And the opposite of multiplication is division. Yum. Check. Done that. So now, which of these two operations should we do first to undo the equation? Well, remember, teenagers, it's time to rebel, or as I like to also call it, sticking it to the man. And you say, eat it, buddy. So we have to do our order of operations backwards. So do we subtract first or divide? Let's make that more dividing-like. And your answer hopefully should be subtraction. So I'm going to subtract. Now, what number am I going to subtract? Well, they are adding a -6, so I'm going to subtract a -6. You subtract the same number. And then, oops, I forgot to split it down the middle. There we go. Now you say, Mrs. Wriggler, subtracting a negative is the same as adding a positive. Let's just change it to addition because it's easier. And I would say, okay, let's do it because you're right. All right, so there we have it. So now, if I take -6 and I add 6, that's going to give me 0, which is exactly what I want. And I'm going to bring down my -14m. And then I take 36 and I add 36, or sorry, not 36, add 6 to it, and that gives me a total of 42. So I did my subtraction. So now I have to do the division. So now I have to figure out, well, what should I divide by? Well, they are multiplying by negative 14, so I'm going to divide by the exact same number. Negative 14, and then negative 14m divided by negative 14. Negative 14 divided by negative 14 is positive 1, or 1m. And 42 divided by negative 14, well, I know I've got a positive divided by a negative, so I will get a negative answer. And then you just have to think, well, how many times is 14 going to 42? Because of my amazing math skills, I know that it's 3. So my answer is m equals negative 3. So we did this, check, and we did this, check. And we have isolated the variable and found the very magical answer of negative 3. And there you have it. All right, ready? Let's give this one a try. Hold on a second. I've got my, there we go. Let me scroll down. Okay, let's take a look at number 2. I want you to try this one on your own. So pause me, please. Hit the old pause button and then come back and let's see how you did. All right, so let's see how you did. Hopefully you distributed the negative 6 and got 12y minus a negative 30, and then is equal to negative 78. And then since they are subtracting negative 30, you should add negative 30 to both sides. So that gives you 12y is the only thing left. And then negative 78 plus negative 30 is negative 108. Divide both sides by 12, and we get y is equal to negative 6. Well, scratch that. I just made a mistake. What do you know? This should be negative 9. My goodness. Make sure you erase that. And now let me show you to just confirm that we have it right, because this is how I was thinking, what in the world did I do? Negative 6, let's just plug it back in and figure out our, we'll just do order of operations. So I'm going to replace the y with negative 9, and then subtract 5, and that should equal negative 78. So order of operations, we do inside the parentheses first, which would be positive 18. Subtract 5, and that's going to give us 13. And then negative 6 times 13 is a negative answer, and it turns out 6 times 13 is in fact 78. So we know we are correct because both sides are equal to each other. So we can check ourselves and make sure we are right. All right, so I know you're saying, Mrs. Rigler, please, I need a challenge. Bring it on. So I say, oh, I've already brought it. Oh, yeah. I love math trash talk. All right, try number 3 on your own, and then check back in a minute and see how you did. Pause me, pause me, pause me. Bye. All right, let's see how we did. So first of all, you should have distributed your 3. So you got 3x minus 9. And then the 4x is not in parentheses, so you just bring that down. So you bring down your minus 4x. And then remember, we are not done simplifying because we have kitties and kitties that can go together. So I'm going to take 3x, take away 4x's, so I have negative 1x minus 9. And now it's totally simplified, so now we start solving. So we're going to add 9 to both sides. We get negative 1x equals 8. And then we divide both sides by negative 1 since they are multiplying by negative 1. So we get x equals negative 8, which is correct because I double-checked myself before I recorded. Oh, yeah. All right. Well, there you have it, guys and gals. I'm glad you joined me for this exciting session on solving multi-step equations. Looking forward to our next endeavor together. And I will see you next time. Peace out. See ya.